Hello again, and again, welcome back to the Japan Game Junk Podcast. And this day, I'll tell a little bit about a hard-off store in one of Japan's most unique communities. This is the hard-off store in Oizumi of Gunma Prefecture. Oizumi Town is the town in Japan, or the municipality in Japan, with the highest percentage of people with both foreign nationality or foreign ancestry. Indeed, it has been called Little Brazil, and it has, again, a high population of people from Brazil and Brazilian background, Japanese nationals with Brazilian background, or just people with Japanese or Brazilian nationality, and also a few other South Americans from Peru, from other, South American countries, not just the Portuguese-speaking Brazil, but other Spanish-speaking South American countries. So, why is this? Well, in Japanese history, there was a time when Japan was exceedingly poor. This is back to before industrialization. Maybe you could see it as perhaps maybe the start of the empire, the late 1800s, the early 1900s. And so, this is a time, though, when South America was booming and people could create a new life for themselves, moving there if you were from a poorer country. So many Japanese people found themselves immigrating to South America, majority being Brazil, but also some of the other countries as mentioned before. And so these people were now integrated into that society after several generations. And later on, of course, the fortunes in the world shifted, and Japan became a much more economically powerful country. South America kind of fell by the wayside. And so now you end up with many people who are ethnically Japanese in South America, or have some Japanese ethnicity background. And you have Japan. Now, according to Japanese immigration law, there are certain things you need to have in order to move to Japan. I myself, of course, I needed to have a job sponsorship and a university degree in order to move to Japan when I did. However, if you are a person with some Japanese nationality or Japanese ethnicity, someone who can prove that you have at least 25% Japanese ethnicity, this means, for example, maybe one of your grandparents was full-blooded Japanese, or even you had two great-grandparents who were of different parts of your family who were Japanese. And if you could prove this, you could get a visa to work in Japan with no conditions. All you need is a job. So there were many, many factories in the Gunma area that borders Saitama and Tochigi, and very near Ibaraki Prefecture. And one of the places where people settled was Oizumi Town. And here, it is, I believe, between 10 and 20% people who are basically Brazilian in some capacity. And if you go around the town, many parts of it, they just seem like any other Japanese small town. But some parts are kind of built as a Brazilian location. And I do enjoy going here. It's very interesting. I did go to this hard-off I mentioned before, but also the same day I went to get a nice burger and milkshake at the Burger Ya shop there, which is run by people of both ancestries and bilingual in Japanese and Portuguese. Went to the Brazilian, two of the Brazilian supermarkets, picked up some Brazilian chocolate drink mix and other stuff. It's a fun place to go. And if going there, then of course you can also see their hard-off. And this hard-off in Oizumi Town, of course, very popular. It's a combination hard-off and off-house. And very popular with the both the Brazilian population as well as the Japanese population. And so inside you can find quite a bit of stuff that is somewhat popular also for export. More so than most hard-offs. I think they can probably switch their inventory around. Things that people might be more prone to purchase and send back to Brazil. So a lot of used but still good quality, newer model iPhones, computer models, things like that. you can find there much more than most hard-offs, for that purpose. But looking at retro gaming, which is why, or not just retro, but gaming in general, which is why I do this podcast, quite a bit to note in the Oizumi Town hard-off, to the point where I think it is definitely a worthwhile visit for anyone in the area. Maybe even worthwhile to go there, not just for the hard-off, but also for the Brazilian culture, which is nice. So, first thing that I noticed was a modern device, mostly in Chinese language, an imported PXN V10 force feedback racing wheel. So this has the racing wheel, the shift gear, the gear shift, and 3 different pedals, foot pedals for the clutch, the brake, and the accelerator. PXN is a Chinese brand that makes fairly good quality, yet less expensive than most other brands for the same quality gaming accessories. So this was being sold for 45,000 yen, and I would suspect that you can find it usually more expensive new, and I've not seen it used anywhere else. So anyway, perhaps worth a bit of a check there. And this is for PC, PlayStation 4 and 5, and Xbox One and X or Series S. Also, the cheapest working PC Engine CD unit I've ever seen. This has the interface unit, controller, AC adapter, PC Engine and CD-ROM system, and the system card that you need to play the normal CD-ROM disc, not the Super CD-ROM. You need a Super CD-ROM card for that, but those are not too hard to find anywhere cheaply. But all of this for 18,000 yen. I did in fact get mine that was basically the same, except no controller and no AC adapter, both of which I already had the controller for the PC Engine, and the AC adapter I found on Mercari for about 2,000 yen later on. But that was only 6,000 yen. But as far as an all-in-one package that's guaranteed to work, 18,000 yen is a very, very good price. Also, complete in-box, guaranteed to work, Rob the Robot for Famicom. 25,000 yen, looks very nice. Also including the block set to play the robot block, also known as Stack Up Game, which was sold separately in Japan to the actual game itself. But yeah, it was very, very nice looking. Very, very nicely made. Very, very nicely conditioned. And I've seen one in worse condition as far as the box goes for 5,000 yen, but that was years ago and I should have bought it then. Next, a very nice MSX unit, an MSX Hitbit from Sony. This version is the HB101, so one of the earlier ones, was still in great condition, including the Black Onyx game. And yeah, it just looks fantastic as far as its condition, so definitely a worthwhile MSX to pick up. Also, the Sega Mega Drive 2 and Mega CD 2, that's the slim model of both, all together, all working. The controller was from a different brand, not from Sega, but otherwise, very, very nice, and yeah, very difficult to find these that are working for this price of 25,000 yen. The older model, the older Mega CD and Mega Drive, which I happen to use, that was also there, but in much better condition, fewer scratches and such. 38,500 yen, wow. I guess 35,000 yen plus tax. And in the same case was another Sony Hitbit, this one red and newer, although not the MSX2, just a newer MSX with more memory, and that was 40,000 yen. Also, the cheapest Neo Geo Pocket Color I've ever seen. Plenty of scratches on it. Lots of, screen scratches and unit scratches, and also in the least popular light blue color. However, you can go on AliExpress and get a new screen cover for your portable game systems cheaply, so maybe you could replace that here. But this system, 6,000 yen. That is even cheaper than the one that I bought that I thought was a very good purchase, even though you can't open the battery compartment. So if I did not have a working one, I would have purchased this straight away. Also, for the MSX, the game Heist in box with very cute caricature art on the front. That was 4,000 yen. It's kind of a cheaper copy than most you'll find. And for the Mega Drive, they had Golden Axe 2 for 2,000 yen. Cartridge only, but it's pretty good for that game here. What else? 1943 for Famicom. Beautiful cartridge, 3,000 yen. And also, very nice condition, the cartridge of Battletoads and Battle Maniacs for Super Famicom, 8,000 yen. There also were a lot of, X-rated Saturn games. So, what do we have here? Final Romance R, Idle Mahjong, what else? Pi Reach, Mahjong. Basically all Mahjong games, but they're all 5,000 yen, all looking in great condition, and all have Naked Lady cartoons. So you can look at that and get all crazy. Also, a fairly rare PCFX game. This is it's one of the fighting games, and I took the picture. I forgot to take a picture, including the title on the bottom of the box. But basically, an all-girl fighting game for the PCFX for 7,000 yen complete. And if you know what it is, then you know what it is, and you'll know that that's cheap. Also, one of the fewer Neo Geo CD games that's not so high in action. Top Players Golf, a great golf game, unopened. That's a brand new unopened copy for 7,000 yen. Very, very hard to find unopened Neo Geo CD games now. Now, in the last episode of the of this podcast, I talked about in Ashikaga finding a boxed version of Super Golf for the Cassette Vision as probably the cheapest boxed Cassette Vision game you can find. Well, the exact same game, and the box is even in better condition at this hard off, was just 1,000 yen. Now, the cheapest Super Cassette Vision game you can find for sale is in Japan, as far as I know. Next, the game I did in fact purchase for the MSX, Circus Charlie. I love Circus Charlie. It's a quaint little old mini action game, mini game action thing for the MSX, and I picked it up for 2,000 yen. It looks in great condition. I'll be playing it sometime on the channel. Next up, for the Pioneer Laser Active system, the Laserdisc games. They had 4 of them, all in great condition. Looked like they could have even been sealed, I don't know, but they were all expensive. The cheapest was Pyramid Patrol, a weird kind of first-person shooting game, kind of FMV game that's really horrible, but 15,000 yen. For 20,000 yen, you could get 2 sex games. One, Virtual Cameraman, which is the same game that you can get on the 3DO, but this version being on the Laserdisc would have higher quality of the video, 20,000 yen. Or also you can get Angel Mate, which is like, it says it's by Shinya Yamamoto, and a cartoon version of him looking like a real big pervert is there. But yeah, it's just like very, very minor amount of interactivity, but you look at naked ladies. And then there is a game I've never seen called Vira. It has some Sanskrit characters on the front, and yeah, it says that it is a 3D shooting game. Could be a Doom game, I don't know, but 30,000 yen, so I'll likely never try that out. Also, next thing that just popped my interest was Dunk Dream for the Neo Geo CD, which I bought recently for 2,000 yen. Here was 4,500 yen, although it does have the manual OB strip and insert, which mine was disc only. Also, Panzer Dragoon RPG Azel, unopened, 11,000 yen. This is a game that's fairly sought after for collectors, and unopened, don't know if you'll find it anywhere else. Then also, a game that was released by fans, I don't know, for the Famicom, Otaku no, what's this? The Seat of the Stars, so Saza, I guess, I don't know. But the front of the game has lots of girls in bikini tops in a desert, and it's clearly a sex game made for the Famicom by a third party without Nintendo's permission. So yeah, that's nice. 10,000 yen boxed. Also a game that I was tempted to buy because I've never seen it, Cool Borders Pocket for the Neo Geo Pocket Color, 8,000 yen. I do want it, but I'll wait until it gets cheaper, I guess. And what else? Oh, Super Real Mahjong Premium Collection for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Indeed, you get to see naked breasts on the Neo Geo Pocket Color on this Mahjong game. 15,000 yen. Also in the junk section, they had some mini PCs. So now Steam Decks are a big deal, but before that, some time ago, in Korea, I think it's Korea, the company GPD was making these portable clamshell PCs running Windows that you would also have gaming controllers built in and also keyboards. They're very interesting looking. One, which is a Core M3 with 1 gigahertz with 8 gigabytes of RAM, was 27,500 yen with dual thumbsticks and your controller layout there. And one that was Atom X7 based with 4 gigabytes of RAM was with Windows 10 installed was 13,000 yen. They also had some Game Watch copy games by different companies back when the Game Watch was big. And this was, games that work, and they are solar powered. 2 of these. There was one that was Desert Island, and one was called Pyramid, and both LCD games powered by the sun for 8,000 yen. And it's kind of good because the light source you would need to be able to see the screen also can power it. It's very, very interesting. Anyway, this store had also quite a bit more, but just going on and on now. So, yes, the Hard Off in Oizumi town of Guma, well worth a visit if you're in the area. And again, not just this Hard Off store, but also the visit to Oizumi itself. Culturally, linguistically, even gourmet-wise, gastronomically, this town is definitely worth a visit. So, if you're in Japan, you have some car access, and you want to see something very interesting, head over to Little Brazil in Oizumi of Guma, and yes, hit the Hard Off while you're there. Thanks so much again for listening. Have a fantastic day. Goodbye.